Hello and welcome to Vejer de la Frontera, the home of the 28th Sunshine Tour. With 7 weeks of competition in 2022, offering 7 4-star level qualifying Grand Prix for the World Championships, over 40 world ranking classes and over €2 million in prize money, it's a destination event for many of the world's best at the beginning of each season. But this huge showground and circuit also allows development of the equine superstars of the future with a popular development international young horse series. The lure of the circuit is the weather, and we usually couldn't ask for better, but high winds are a feature here this weekend. And this time we're back to the David Broom Arena and the Large Tour Grand Prix, sponsored by Suzuki as our feature. This meter 55 Longines ranking class has a course set by Olympic designer Leopoldo Palacios of Venezuela with a first round time allowed of 78 seconds. Well, as we join the action here with Sean Monaghan in the David Broom ring, we have 4 clears so far. 50 starters have qualified to come through to the Large Tour Grand Prix this week, and it's great to be back out here on the grass for the finale. Been interesting. Leopoldo, of course, so recognized now with many of the big courses in the world, but in particular perhaps the Masters at Spruce Meadows, and you can see how the wind is having its effect here today. So Sean Monaghan, a youth medalist for Ireland, he was a team silver at the Young Riders a couple of seasons ago, took a Grand Prix win at Valkenswaard last year. See Leopoldo really using every inch of his specification of meter 55. Sean's horse Memphis van der Vaart was a team bronze medalist at juniors last year with Britain's Lila Bremner. Also with Lila won a meter 45 jump off class here at Vejer last week. Sailboats goes down second rail on course, putting them on 8. It's quite interesting to see the number of new fences that have come out here for the week 6 into the David Broom, and it means that horses that stay here for the full 7-week season, they still have a lot of new lessons to learn. Everything can be quite fresh for them. So 2 down and 4 for time as well. Of course, those new time penalties coming in at 1 for 1. So they do start to tick up very, very quickly. Sean Monaghan and Memphis van der Vaart will score 12 in just over 81 seconds. Yeah, just rode very, very forward through the triple combination. Obviously felt that was the way it needed to be ridden, but unfortunately just going to be caught out at that front rail at the 3rd element. Well, next to go, another rider who has represented his country at the youth level, including a Youth European Championships here at Vejer. This is Maximilian Vector of Poland. Maximilian with Cepetano by Cepeto. This was the horse with which Maximilian was a winner on the World Cup circuit at Poznan in Central Europe this year. We saw Maximilian last week in our broadcast as well, riding one of his other horses here in Vejer in that medium tour Grand Prix, the Andalucía. Speaking of Andalucía, of course, we've got the wall there very, very early on Leopoldo's track. It's all these little differences. You know, we've had 4-star meter 55 Grand Prix right throughout the circuit. We've had 4-star Grand Prix at lots of different show venues, but Leopoldo here has come at week 6 thinking, you know, the majority of these horses, they've had a lot of opportunity to compete. If there's any thought in previous weeks that maybe should just leave the door open a little bit, maybe not go right the way up to maximum, Leopoldo has come in this week and felt that the horses are jumping great. The surface, of course, here in the David Broom is excellent, and he's decided that he's going to set up a big challenge. Only 4 have jumped it clear so far out of our first 30 or so starters. Maximilian, about to say on his way home in good shape, but he's going to just bring the 4 home, 76.74. So about 1.5 seconds inside the time allowed. That's very comfortably ridden, but the 4 faults will go into 8th best at the moment. 4 will take home a decent little bit of prize money the way it looks at the moment, but there's still 10 or 15 to go in this first round, so the number qualified for the jump-off could easily change quite dramatically. Well, a horse and rider very much in form here at Vejer. They were runners-up in our Medium Tour Grand Prix that we broadcast last weekend. Holly Smith and Fruselli. Holly, British Olympian, had those great run of 5-star wins with this horse last year at Royal Windsor, and just before that in the Derby at Le Ball in France. Holly really, it looked like she'd done enough last weekend, a blistering time. First and most important trick though at the moment is to make it into the jump-off. Leopoldo has this triple combination relatively early in the course as well. Just making sure the horses are listening and reacting early on the course, concentrating on their job. You know, and that double is really light and delicate. It's got such bright poles. I mean, if it was a sunny day, I think it could be an incredibly influential fence. There's not much material to it. There's a lot to look at in the decoration. There's a water tray underneath the oxer. Really is so much to do at that double. Just drifts a little bit to the left there over the skinny one on the way home. Clear and inside the time. Holly Smith and Fruselli are just clear round number 5 coming back for the jump-off. See how many more will yet join them, but she will go 5th of 5, and that's a great place to be with Fruselli. So I don't think it's going to end up being a very big jump-off, so she would have a very good draw to try and use this horse's speed to deliver this Longines ranking class Grand Prix victory. Meter 55 Suzuki Grand Prix here at the end of week 6 at the Sunshine Tour. We stay with Great Britain for William Fletcher. Will, who's been a young rider, team silver medalist for Great Britain, rides Valento. Been riding this horse internationally for just about a year. Jumped some of the British International Grand Prix last year at the likes of Chard and Wellington. Was 4th in a Grand Prix at Quiso in Bedfordshire before coming out here to Spain for the spring season, but he's going to have a Gothic fence down very early in the course, and that just leaves him wanting to be extra sure of the triple combination. This is this combination's first Sunshine Tour Grand Prix this season. Will, at the moment, he wants to try and get as good a round of jumping as possible. We've seen some fast 4s really move up into the hunt behind our 5 clears. Will isn't going super fast. I still think that's perhaps the right decision here, to just get a very educational and, for the horse, enjoyable round of metre 55 Grand Prix jumping under their belt. They're all just taking a little bit of a drift left over that last line. So he has 4 for jumping, 5 for time. It's 9 in all for Will Fletcher here in the first round. So he still sits inside the top 20. Di Lampard there. British chef to keep. And, high performance manager just watching on some of her riders here, starting to think about European Nations Cups coming up in the next few weeks. Next to go, one for Belgium, Dominic Hendricks with Floris TN. The Team Nijhoff's quality time. Dominic, a regular at the 5-star level of our sport. He's been a Grand Prix winner at the top level at Samorin and took a bronze medal at the World Young Horse Championships at Lanarken last summer. Dominic and this horse were top 10 in a Grand Prix here at the Sunshine Tour in February. Just a little bit of wiggle going into the horseware first. Horseware, we talk about our sponsors, they've been involved here for a very long time as well, very loyal. Andalucía government were our sponsors of the Medium Tour last week. As I say, this week it's Suzuki again, a returning sponsor again and again here to Vejer and the Sunshine Tour. Didn't make life super easy for themselves during the triple combination, but they are clear. They have the potential to be very, very fast here. Really are eating up the ground between the jumps. That's the thing, just running on that little bit free, you'll be caught out by some of these distances, and that front rail goes in the bright tropical double at 8AB. Turning up to this final line, looks like plenty of time in hand. Another one, again, you see the horse looking over to the right, drifting left, and almost doesn't concentrate on the last at all. So 2 down on the way home too, for 12 faults for Dominic Hendricks. And 1 for time, 78.90. Looked fast, wasn't, of course. Having to ride that balance and just take the little pull all the time, obviously catching him out on the clock. So at the moment, 5 are clear and coming back for the jump off. There's still plenty to come, though, in the first round of the Suzuki Grand Prix here from the 2022 Sunshine Tour. Welcome back to the Sunshine Tour. Chloe Winchester on course now for Great Britain. Still just the 5 clear rounds. Holly Smith and Fruselli were our 5th clear just a few minutes ago. Chloe with Home Farm Equestrian's Gonzalo is going to be next here on Leopoldo Palacios track. This horse actually evented to the international advanced level. Chloe started the horse's international jumping career just in December. Chloe, a rider who's taken wins on the Z Tour at Lanarken in Belgium. Going to have that Gothic bridge fence down. It's interesting what Leopoldo has done, because he's got a very, very flowing, long lines for the first bit of the course, and then he starts to just tighten it up and wind it up. But you can see even early on in those long flowing lines, there are the big specifications, meter 55, but he's gone right the way to the maximum of his specification here as we look at week 6 of our Grand Prix series at the Sunshine Tour. Also, as I think you'll have probably clocked from the flags around the David Broom Arena, that they are just coming into or going out of a very strong wind here on Sunday in Vejer as well. .78 time allowed has caught out plenty. It's going to catch out Chloe as well. So it's going to be 4 down, 16 jumping and 2 for time for the British rider. To get the reverse angle here on the Tower Bridge fence. Very quickly then having the A element of the triple combination down straight after. Those were their first 2 on course. Brazilian Olympian in Tokyo last summer, this is Yuri Mansur. Yuri with Humberto Ask by Cornet Obolensky. It's Cornet and Comme il faut, recently rescued back to Germany from Ukraine. Humberto's jumped some very big classes, actually top 5 in a good speed competition during the Global Champions at Samarin in Slovakia last year. Could be a very, very good one to have in our jump-off. Yuri himself, winner of that 5-star Nations Cup Grand Prix at Hickstead, the King George. Well, the Suzuki that sponsors fence goes down early on after the triple. So Yuri won't be joining us in the jump-off. What can he do against our fastest 4-faulter? Sitting 6th at the moment. Yeah, I thought the A element went there. It just looked like he left a toe on it behind. Even still, Yuri looks like he's just keeping the pace up, but the horse gets a little bit too involved with the top rail. That one from home, so it's going to be 3 down. Starting out over the sponsors fence, the Suzuki, Yuri and Humberto, 12 faults. You were jumping very well. You just saw there was a little bit of a shift to the right coming into the triple combination, but then Yuri held his line. That rollback turn to the Suzuki just didn't come the way, and actually there in the slow motion, clearer to see the front rail coming down in the double. Alonso Valdez Prado, Peruvian rider who was an Olympian in Rio, twice a World Games rider. I've seen Alonso for several years in the United States, and then just recently he's been here in Europe jumping some big shows like Aachen, Rotterdam and Rome. This is Acuero by Acarado, jumped in the big Tour Grand Prix last week. It was actually held on Saturday of week 5. He's just having to get behind the horse here a little bit to go to the fish. Just took a little bit of a look. They're very square, those oxes, in and out of that triple combination line. Caught out of the double, and you know the triple bar is such an important part of that, and indeed you can have a problem that develops from the triple bar and actually only comes and gets you at the bridge. You might pick up the double all right, but unless you have the opportunity to really make and set a correction, if you've come in too big over the triple bar, there's a lot of questions to answer on the way home. It is just going to be that one rail down by the looks of things here for Alonso Valdez Prado and Acuero for Peru. 10th best in 76.78. 5 clears still at the moment. Zandigo now is the ride of Caramel Zogby. Karam owns and rides this one by Zento, representing Egypt. Karam, an Olympian at Rio as well. That was his third Olympic Games. Career winner of the Meter 60 Grand Prix at Dinard, the 5-star Nations Cup Grand Prix at Adelaide. Was on the Egyptian team in the Nations Cup at Prague in 2020 as well. Karam and this horse, Zandigo, have had a good few 5-star appearances together, including the Nations Cup and the Grand Prix at St. Gallen last year. And actually together they won the 6-bar competition, the Loro Piana 6-bar at Piazza di Siena, the Rome Nations Cup show last May. So again, you sort of get this sense of Leopoldo Palacios using all of the long side of the ring, all of that short end, all of this long side with the triple, before he then starts bringing them into the middle of the course and starting to wind the course a little bit tighter. So 2 strikes against them in the triple combination line for 8 faults for Karim. He held and held and held down there, and actually I think it just meant the horse couldn't make the shape over the first element. They ended up plumb taking it out. So coming home on 12, the time looks a little bit tight as well. Yep, just over time. 12 for jumping, 1 for time, 13 in all for Caramel Zogby and Zandigo here in our first round. It's our 40th of 50 starters and still just 5 clear rounds. So more than 1 in 10 at the moment, but if it ended up that way, that's how it would be. See there how the horse just absolutely caught that rail on the way up. Close in. Alberto Marquez Galabades, Uccello Massieu. By Cassini out of a Galabay mare. Alberto rode this horse at last summer's European Championships for Spain. He was top 10 in the Nations Cup Grand Prix at Rotterdam last year as well. Oh, that bounced right up in its cups and landed straight back down. Quite lucky there. So clear through that influential tropical double. Still on the 0 score at the moment. Horse just starting to toss his head a little bit. Just needs to maintain his focus just for a few moments longer. Into this final line. Again, so many just seem to be drifting left, looking right. Oh my goodness, I was so busy looking at the fences, so I wasn't looking at the clock either. 79, it's 2 for time. Clear jumping, 2 for time, goes 7th. Well, 2 riders there just missing out on the jump off due to time penalties. 5 clears inside the 78 seconds time allowed. And that just period at the end of the course when the horse wasn't giving quite that focus and rideability. Might have just caught them that little bit on the clock. Another for Brazil now, Andre Reichmann. Fellow Van Temurven by Sirocco Blue VDL. Andre, who's been a Grand Prix winner at Eselhof and at Peelbergen. Winner in recent seasons of a Young Rider Grand Prix at the Winter Equestrian Festival in Wellington, Florida as well. Andre took over the ride on this horse at the beginning of the year. This is their second week jumping here at the Sunshine Tour. That second week contesting the large Tour Grand Prix as well. Still just the 5 clears. It's been a while since Holly Smith and Fruselli gave us our 5th clear round. And it will remain a while. 2 down the Fish and the Tower Bridge. And I think that's all she wrote. Andre is going to call it a day there, knowing that 8 faults isn't going to move them too close to the top of the leaderboard, not useful in terms of prize money or world ranking. They'll save it all for another day. So at the moment it is 5 coming back for the jump off here in Andalucía at the Sunshine Tour. How many more will join them as we continue the first round action in just a few moments' time? So welcome back to a windy afternoon of show jumping here for week 6, the large Tour Grand Prix, the Suzuki Grand Prix, meter 55 Longines world ranking class. Track set by Leopoldo Palacios, and at the moment, out of nearly 45 of our 50 starters, we have seen just 5 clear rounds. Przemysław Konopacki of Poland is going to be our next to go with Home Run. Przemysław, who we saw jumping in our medium tour competition last week. This is the horse that gave Przemysław the 3rd place finish in the World Cup League final in Central Europe over the course of the winter. Rider who's ridden quite a few of those European Equestrian Federation Nations Cups for Poland over the course of the last season or so. Home run is by Spartacus, gets really high up in the air over that A element, nearly going to knock down Leopoldo there in his trademark hat as they duck out of the B element, and Przemysław also is going to just call it a day. Just didn't feel that the horse was jumping quite as usual, and certainly didn't get a jump he would like to have the confidence to go on through a big Leopoldo Palacios triple combination with over the A element. So having had those problems here on the Sunday of the show, going to retire. Put it all back together. We'll see them, I'm sure, vying for top honours in the finale Grand Prix next week. See, from that angle it looked great, but the first angle we saw, you could see the horse really just went high in the air rather than forward, and there really wasn't a lot they could do with that back rail. You can see how wide the oxes in the triple combination are set. Kevin Gonzalez de Zarate Fernandez and Contagos Rouge next up. Kevin, again, a rider we saw last week in the Medium Tour Grand Prix here, the Andalucía Government Grand Prix. Kevin, a Grand Prix winner at Barcelona in December. Took a Grand Prix win at Gijón Outdoors last summer as well. And this combination represented Spain in the Nations Cup competition in Portugal at Vilamoura. That was in the autumn of 2020 now. Again, we just talk about some of those wide oxes. They won't really be able to afford to have this real hard shift right and hope to leave them standing. I mean, nearly caught them out because they nearly went and touched the supporting wall over at the Andalucía number 2, the supporting pillar at the wall. I would say that the shift probably caught them that rail at the Tower Bridge. Much more accurate there down the triple combination line. The horse has just settled and focused in a little bit more now. You know, with 5 clears, a couple on time faults, you've got to be a very fast 4 to be coming inside the top 10, and 8 faults is going to be well down the order. rollback's ridden pretty well for most. So it's just been interesting to see the way the horses are just looking to the outside of the ring, always down this final line here. And just a time penalty there, 78.90 on the clock. So it's 8 for jumping, 1 for time for Kevin Gonzalez. A total of 9, as you can see, outside the top 20 on that sort of score. Great shot there of the big shift right from this horse over that 4th fence on course. Actually, while they got straight, they were just a little bit too forward down that line, close in to the Tropical, as so many have been, and they end up taking that rail. There, a wonderful view of it with its flamingos, its palm trees, its bright colors, its water trays. Gone to Nike Double H by Harold van Ruytershoff. This is Jessica Burke for Ireland. Jessica, who's had some very good success over the years at the Dublin Horse Show in Ireland with the young horse classes. She's won the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old championships there in the past. Been an international Grand Prix winner at Centaur and at Bonheiden. And this is going to be this horse's first meter 55 Grand Prix. They jumped in the medium tour Andalucía Grand Prix with us last weekend, last Sunday here. Nike's been jumping, real big. I was wondered whether they were going to be in trouble here coming to the triple, because having had those big jumps into distances, Jessica, I think, just wanted to sit up a little bit and try and manage the distance down to the vertical, and that threw Nike off what he'd been used to over the first 4 or 5. So they ended up having the back rail at the A element. Lands real short over the triple bar and actually has to push on at this double, which they're clear. Are they going to get the bridge at the end of the line as well? Just a little bit sticky, but they are clear. So just carrying the 1 down at the moment. Jessica's having to make a lot of adjustments. She's working quite hard. And on that basis, you wonder whether they'll be able to satisfy the rate of advance for 78 seconds. Indeed, as I'm saying it, we can see the clock tick over. So 82.70, it's going to be 5 for time, 4 for jumping, 5 for time, 9 in all for Jessica Burke and Nike Double H in the horse's first meter 55 4-star Grand Prix. See her just, encouraging the horse on with her legs to that B element in the triple combination after they'd had the first rail. Didn't want the horse to lose confidence. Instead, just to carry on, keep jumping. Frank Schutert, Great Light VDL next to go. Horse previously with Jens van Grunsven. Still there in the Van Grunsven colors, as you can see from the saddlecloth. Frank, who has been a Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix winner. He was also on the podium in the first ever Super Grand Prix in Prague back in 2018. He's won good competitions right across Europe and the world, like the King's Cup at Madrid at the Club de Campo. Great Light VDL by VDL Sirocco Blue. So you could just see the horse was just being a little bit wobbly on the line coming down to the Andalucía wall, and just whether it didn't mean that Frank was right on the spot that he wanted. And now it's 3 in quick succession down, fence 3, 4 and 5A all down. Yeah, I just wondered whether that might be the case, because either Frank is just going to take a real reset here and jump another 2 steady, get this horse's mind back in the game, or he is going to call it a complete day, as several have before, and that's what's going to happen. Frank Schutert and Great Light VDL will trot out of the ring, having retired in the first round. Yeah, and it's a mix and match. He catches the first fence behind, he catches the tower bridge in front and then immediately comes around to the triple bar and has the A element of it down as well. Felipe Amaral, Calvin de Beaufort, Pan Am Games rider for Brazil, World Cup Finals rider, medalist at the South American Championships. This Calvin horse by Nabab Derev was the Nations Cup horse for Portugal at Vila Moura last autumn. Can they be clear round number 6? Yeah, he just had to really get the horse back in front of his leg there, going to the wall. They take away one of the very, very light top rails. As you can see, they're actually skeletal. Just the outline of the box, not even the full box. So they're incredibly light, the top of that Andalucía wall. But I think whatever weight they would have been, this horse would have had one out the way it approached. Again, having the wall very early is an interesting choice from the designer. It's about how he sees the impact and influence of the course, where he sees it being in the range of 4-star meter 55. Just a little light rattle coming out of the tropical double, but it stays in place. Sunshine Tour fences, and coming home again, they could just be in a bit of trouble on time. They will be. Single rail, in fact a block out of the wall rather than a rail, and going to be 3 for time. 80.16, so 7 in all for Felipe Amaral and Calvin de Beaufort. You saw there the brick coming out, but if we'd had a second or two more, you would have just seen the horse wavering and just really questioning whether he even wanted to jump that wall. And Felipe was quick enough to say, yes, we're definitely doing it. Maybe a second or two earlier, and they'd have been in shape to jump it clear. Angelique von Essen and Happiness DKZ. Going to be our second last to go in this first round. Still just 5 clears. Angelique is based in the UK for a long time. Been winning Nations Cup teams for Sweden in recent seasons, the likes of Rome, at Aachen, at Hickstead. And with this horse, Happiness, she's had this horse at several 5-star shows like Piazza di Siena in Rome, La Baule, the Nations Cup show in France, and just in December, the London World Cup qualifier show at its new venue in the Excel Centre. But Angelique is not going to join us in the jump-off either with this experienced 5-star horse, as she has the Tower Bridge fenced down. A rare one to have the triple bar down, and Angelique pulls away from the tropical double. So I think she's going to be another one to just call it a day here on course. So still 5 qualified for the jump-off as Angelique von Essen retires on course. One more to come in this first round of jumping, and it is the rider who won the Big Tour Grand Prix with us last weekend here, Pénélope Léprevost, Olympic gold medalist. And we'll see whether she joins the jump-off starting field after this very short break from the Sunshine Tour. A Well, welcome back as we look to conclude the first round of jumping in our large tour, Andalucia's Sunshine Tour Suzuki Grand Prix for week 6 here in the David Broom Ring. Final competitor is going to be Penelope Leprevaux and GFE Candy de Nantuelle by Louis Dam. Hoping to join the just 5 qualified for the jump-off finale to this week 6 Grand Prix. Penelope, with her top horse GFE Excalibur de la Tour Vidal, won our large tour Grand Prix last week. And with this horse, Penelope was just off the podium, 4th in our medium tour Andalucía Government Grand Prix last week. Just lays a toe on that tower bridge fence. Comes down to the triple combination here along the long side. So it is just going to be 5 for the jump-off. Just not quite getting the last rail coming out of the triple there. So very, very interesting days jumping. There's no doubt, I think, that the wind has played its part in this, and Penelope's another one to just reach forward, pet the horse, because they know that with a couple of rails, they're not going to feature the way this competition is broken down. So 5 come back to us for the jump-off. Penelope Leprevaux and her 4th place finisher from last week, GFE Candy de Nantuelle, electing to retire. Let's leave the rail here. We're just going to get this reverse angle at the triple combination. And actually the horse is slightly canting against itself by jumping so high in the air, just struggling to get that back rail out of the 3rd part of the triple combination. So Leopoldo lays out an 7 obstacle 8 effort, 55-second time allowed for our jump off. Brings in 1 new fence 14, going to finish over the Suzuki vertical just after the 2 remaining parts of the triple combination, and just 5 to come. We had to wait 20 horses before Bernardo Alves scored his clear, immediately after Susan Fitzpatrick, not long after Cameron Hanley, then Sara Vingralkova, and Holly Smith and Fruselli were our 5th and final qualifier. So Bernardo Alves, 2-time Brazilian Olympian, twice a Pan Am Teams gold medalist as well with this horse, Mosito van het Hellehof. Jumped some 5-star classes in 2021 at Chantilly, at Hamburg, also at Aachen in Germany. Here we'd seen some top horse and rider combinations. We'd seen Samuel de Haan, we'd seen Pedro Moilart, Douglas Nindelow, Darren Demisroy, Kim Emmen, Laura Klaphacker. But it was Bernardo Alves, 20th to jump, who gave us our first clear. It's potentially quite a tight turn here. Roll back to number 11. Has them, Leopoldo has them real serpentining in the ring there before they settle down to this final line, 5 BC and across the ring to the Suzuki. Bernardo's horse just giving a little bit of a drift to the left there on the approach, but he's going to come home just over 40 seconds, 40.29 to lay the early standard. He's double clear, just 5 in the jump off. Double clear could be valuable, but how valuable is going to be just about 40 and 1/3 seconds, 40.29 for Bernardo Cardoso de Rezende Alves. Immediately after Bernardo in the first round, we had a qualifier, a clear for Ireland. Susan Fitzpatrick, Isabel de Mello's Verdict de Kerzeg by Diamant de Semilly. Susan, who picked up a podium in the Longines Grand Prix of Ireland at Dublin a couple of years ago. Multiple individual and team youth medals for Ireland. And picked up just the 1 down in the large tour Grand Prix first round last week here. So a combination on the rise, especially when you consider that there are just 5 clears for the jump off this weekend. So over the Andalucía wall, it's a very, very good line and pace back around here to number 11. Just take that on a little bit of an angle, maybe just shade too much. And 2 remaining parts of the triple combination. Carrying 4 faults home. Going to be faster than Bernardo Alves, potentially? No, actually a little bit slower. 41.97 and 4 faults. So either way you look at it, second best, Susan Fitzpatrick and Verdict de Keerzeg. But a nice round of jumping, some good lines, good pace. As I say, very nice to see a combination on the rise. 4 faults in the first round of the large tour last week, making it through into a very small jump off here in week 6. Again, a rider we've seen go well here at the Sunshine Tour this season, Cameron Hanley, ESI Toulouse. 3rd in the Grand Prix here in February. 2 other top 10s as well. Cameron, who's been a championship rider, Nations Cup finals, European Championships and World Games for Ireland. Toulouse by SIEC Livello. Equine America new fence that starts off the jump off. Interesting to see him leave the wall exactly as it was in the first round. Sometimes designers might have been just tempted to maybe put a rail in on top of the wall or replace it entirely with a vertical, but Leopoldo Palacios leaves the wall as it was. And the same rollback turn unfortunately costs him a pole as it did to countrywoman Susan Fitzpatrick a moment ago. Can he be faster? Susan was just a little bit over 41 seconds. 40.29 is the leading time for Bernardo Alves. Be interesting to see if they can catch that. No, 42.74 with the 4 faults in the jump off for Cam Hanley. ESI Toulouse is still just 1 double clear as Cameron Hanley goes into 3rd. Susan Fitzpatrick sits 2nd. Bernardo Alves of Brazil is our leader at the moment. Sara Vengrokova of the Czech Republic. Sara had another rider to have many youth championship appearances for her country, including the young riders in 2021. She was a Grand Prix winner at a show in Rome last year and riding this horse for just about a year. This is Quisandro by Quintero. So Sara jumping well in the 2-star tour at the Global Champions in San Marino. We were just talking about that wall. And unfortunately, that's what comes down for Sara. So we are going to have at least 1 4-faulter on the podium. At the moment, that would be Susan Fitzpatrick, but it all depends on the time eventually laid down here by Sara Vengrokova. But she's had her fault a little bit earlier on the course, and I wonder whether, you know, we saw the official split, we saw her down on time. You just wonder whether she's really going to try and overtake Susan Fitzpatrick's time, having had the problem that little bit earlier on course. And 44.28 suggests that that's not the case, so she goes into 4th place at the moment, 4th of the 4 we've seen. 1 double clear, 3 on 4 faults. Susan Fitzpatrick, Cameron Handley, and now Sara Vengrokova. So just 1 left to challenge Bernardo Alves, the first to go in our jump off for the win here in the Suzuki Grand Prix at the conclusion of week 6. And that is the combination that featured on our podium last weekend in the medium tour. Holly Smith and her 5-star winner, Fruselli. They were overtaken in the jump-off last week on what seemed to be an unbeatable time. Can they turn the tables this week? Can they take victory as last to go? Very, very snug over the right-hand side of that Andalucía wall. It's a great angle on that, more angle than I think we've seen from some of the others. Put a bit of angle here on the bridge as well. Just using this horse's experience to her advantage down here. Triple combination. She's a little bit over to the left, so she's probably going to be one stride more here coming up to the last. 40.29 to beat. 40.81, it's half a second behind for Holly Smith and Fruselli, so it's going to be second best with double clear for Holly and Fruselli. But it's going to be our first in the jump-off, Bernardo Alves, who will take victory for Brazil. Bernardo, who was our very first clear in the first round with Mosito van der Hellehoff, ends up with victory here in the Suzuki Week 6 Sunshine Tour Grand Prix. So the 5 from the jump-off come forward for the awards here in the David Broomer ring, as we recognize the support of longtime partners here of the Sunshine Tour, Suzuki, and victory for Brazilian Olympian Bernardo Alves here in the Week 6 Large Tour Grand Prix.
Buenas tardes, meu nome é Bernardo Alves, acabo de ganhar o Gran Prêmio.
Hi, I'm Bernardo Alves. I've just won the 4-star Grand Prix here and obviously very happy. This was the first 4-star Grand Prix and very pleased that my horse won. The important thing is to be very happy. This year, it's been a great series. We've had Leopoldo Palacios designing here. We've had other great designers in the other ring. It really motivates us to come back every year to the Sunshine Tour. So just one Grand Prix and week remaining of the Andalucía Sunshine Tour. Who will take the series-long victory and follow in the footsteps of Week 6 Suzuki Grand Prix winner Bernardo Alves of Brazil? Join us then.